Full circle. The accident happened on a Friday afternoon as I was driving home. The traffic was moving quickly along the Santa Teresa freeway, and my own little Volkswagen was running well, although it's 15 years old. I was feeling good. I just solved a difficult case and had a check in my handbag for $4,000. That's good money for a female private detective working for herself. The sun shone down on the freeway out of a cloudless California sky. I was driving in the middle lane. Looking into the driving mirror, I saw a young woman in a small white car coming up behind me in the fast lane. A bright red Porsche was close behind her, and I guessed she wanted to move into the middle lane in front of me to let it pass, so I reduced my speed. Coming up on my right was a dark blue Toyota. While I was looking in the mirror, I heard a loud noise, a bit like a gunshot. I turned my attention back to the road in front of me. Suddenly, the small white car moved back into the fast lane. It seemed to be out of control. It hit the back of the red Porsche, ran into the fence in the center of the freeway, and then back again into the road in front of me. I put my foot down hard to bring the Volkswagen to a stop. At that moment, a green Mercedes suddenly appeared from nowhere and hit the side of the girl's car, sending it right off the road. Behind me, all the cars were trying to stop. I could hear them crashing into each other. It was all over in a moment. A cloud of dust from the side of the road showed where the girl's car had come to rest. It had hit one of the posts of a road sign, and then broken sign was now hanging across her car roof. I left my car at the side of the road and ran towards the white car with the man from the blue Toyota close behind me. The girl's head had gone through the front window. She was unconscious and her face was covered in blood. I couldn't open the car door, but the man from the Toyota forced it open and reached inside. "Don't move her," I said. "Let the ambulance people do it." I took off my coat and we used it to stop the blood from the worst of her cuts. He was a man of 24 or 25 with dark hair and anxious dark eyes. Someone behind me was asking for help, and I realized that other people had been hurt in the accident as well. The driver from the green Mercedes was already using the telephone at the roadside to call the ambulance and police, I guessed. The driver of the red Porsche just stood there, unable to move from shock. I looked back at the young man from the Toyota who was pressing the girl's neck. "She seems to be alive," he said. I left him with the girl and went to help a man with a broken leg. By the time the police and the ambulance arrived, a small crowd of drivers had stopped their cars to look as if a road accident was some kind of sports event. I noticed my friend John Birkett, a photographer from the local newspaper. I watched as the girl was carried into the ambulance. Then, with some of the other drivers, I had to tell a policeman what I had seen. When I read in the newspaper next morning that the girl had died, I was so upset that I felt sick. There was a short piece about her. Caroline Spurrier was 22, a student in her final year at the University of California, Santa Teresa. She was from Denver, Colorado. The photograph showed shoulder-length fair hair, bright eyes, and a happy smile. I could feel the young woman's death like a heavy weight on my chest. My office in town was being painted, so I worked at home that next week. On Thursday morning, there was a knock at the door. I opened it. At first, I thought the dead girl was alive again, and standing on my doorstep. But then I realized that this was a woman in her 40s. "I'm Michelle Spurrier," she said. "I understand you saw my daughter's accident." "Please, come in. I'm so sorry about what happened." She couldn't speak at first, then the words came slowly. "The police examined Caroline's car and found a bullet hole in the window on the passenger side. My daughter was shot." She began to cry. When she was calmer, I asked, "What do the police say about it?" "They are calling it murder now. The officer I talked to thinks it's one of those freeway killings. A crazy man shooting at a passing car for no special reason." "They've had enough of those in Los Angeles," I said. "Well, I can't accept that. Why was she on the freeway instead of at work? She had a job in the afternoons. They tell me she left suddenly without a word to anyone." "Where did you work?" "At a restaurant near the university. She'd been working there for a year. The manager told me a man had been annoying her. Perhaps she left to get away from him." "Did he know who the man was?" "Not really. They had been out together. He kept coming to see her in the restaurant, calling her at all hours, causing a lot of trouble. Lieutenant Dolan tells me you're a private detective. I want you to find out who's responsible for her death." "Mrs. Spurrier, the police here are very good at their job. I'm sure they are doing everything possible." "I'm not so sure, but I have to fly back to Denver now. My husband is very ill, and I need to get home. I can't go until I know someone here is looking into this, please." I said I would do it. After all, I already had a strong interest in the case. "I'll need a few names," I said. She gave me the names of the girl who shared Caroline's room and the restaurant where she'd worked.